Well, let's get going, friends. Good afternoon. I am Max Page, MTA president, and it's so good to welcome MTA members to our first pre-convention meeting for annual meeting 2025. Among the illustrious guests, along with all of you, rank and file members, I want to be sure you know that you'll hear a lot from her in a second. Deb McCarthy, our vice president, and Mike Fatal,
Hey,
our executive
everyone.
director treasurer. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Deb, I interrupted. Go ahead. Please.
Oh, I was just saying hello.
Good, good, good. And Mike Fatal, our executive director treasurer. You wanted to say hello, Mike?
Hello.
And I will just mention quickly as well, all the people, or some of the people behind putting all this together includes Jen Freeling, our director of governance, Carolyn Himatu, Anne Marie Kelly, Aaron Tracy, Allison Santana. Everything that goes right is theirs fault or their credit. Everything that goes wrong is mine. So, but it won't go wrong because they've done such a good job setting us up. So just a few comments as we get going. As some of you know, many of you know, but not our new delegates, this is our 180th annual meeting, and it is the largest annual Democratic gathering in Massachusetts. And I will say in a couple of minutes that how that matters more than ever right now. So those of you who are, I don't know, everyone can see, if you raise your hands, raise your digital hands, maybe we can see if you are a new delegate, first time delegate to annual meeting, please let us acknowledge you. Oh my goodness, there's a lot. That's outstanding. Very excited to have new members joining as delegates this year. So there's been so much to celebrate since our last annual meeting. I will not go into great detail right now, but think of question 2 that we won in the fall, ending the use of tests or make the end of high stakes testing. The fair share funds are making free community college possible, free regional buses, more investment in the T, and on and on and on. You won the Social Security Fairness Act after 35 years of fighting for that, one of the last acts that President Biden signed as president. And perhaps above all, you have all won incredible bargaining victories, fighting for paid family medical leave, winning living wages for our education support professionals, and much more. Those have just been thrilling part of this past year since our last annual meeting. And we are feeling now the attacks from Washington on the very idea of public education as never before, really, and on democracy and on the idea of democratic institutions and our entire democracy, which is why attending and participating in an annual meeting matters more than ever. I really want to tell you, this is a form of resistance because a union is a democratic institution. And if you talk to Mike Fatal, our EDT, he's worked for many unions, has been a member of a number of unions, and he will tell you that not all unions are as democratically governed as the MTA is. We are, you'll see, those of you who are new, how democratically run and transparent annual meeting is. And we have to dig into that, lean into that more than ever because of the attacks that are going on the idea of democracy. We are living embodiment of a democratic institution, uninfluenced by millionaires and billionaires. There's no millionaires and billionaires who are running this organization. It's all funded by and run by all of you. And let's not take that for granted. This is something incredible that should be cherished and we all should be proud of, and we must protect it. Part of the way we protect it is participate in the way you all are. All right, I want to make a quick one more pitch for tonight. Right after this is a very important all-member meeting, and I think it's going to be put in the chat. Maybe it is now at 7:30. Right after this meeting, please join. It's really going to be about 45 minutes or so, and it's really important as we plan for the rest of April, leading towards our annual meeting and also leading towards May Day, which is a big International Workers' Day, and we really want to have a powerful presence and unified presence as MTA. All right, now let's get back to the business at hand. One thing I want to note is that this pre-convention meeting is being recorded so that we can share it to all delegates who might not have been able to make it tonight or to the next meeting. All the information you need for 2025 annual meeting will be at massteacher.org/annual meeting. That's also in the chat, massteacher.org/annual meeting, one word. All the information is there. And there is a lot of information. We got a lot of business to conduct, and the board and staff planning process have enabled us to do this business through three options for delegate attendance and participation. So there's the in-person meeting space in Springfield, traditional seating, no spacing by region. That's more the traditional way we have led annual meeting. There will also be a masked required seating section for masked delegates in one side of the room, as we had last year. So that if you are more comfortable as a delegate sitting in that mask required section, you are welcome to do that. And finally, like last year, we will also have a virtual option, and you'll have full access to annual meeting, participation in debates, and voting. So we urge you to take one of those three options. So this year, as in other years, we will have debates over new business items. For those new ones, new people here, NBIs is how we'll refer to them, new business items, the bylaws and resolutions. The MTA standing rules for an in-person meeting need to be adapted for a hybrid meeting. And the MTA bylaws and rules committee created special rules that would let us conduct a robust hybrid meeting. And these special rules will apply to this year's meeting only. And we will review those special rules later in the agenda. All right, let's go right into it. And I want to have a first presentation, if they are ready, by Robin Smith and Rhonda Hall Reynolds of the Retired Members Committee to briefly talk about the Retired Members New Educator of Color Mentoring Program. Thanks, Robin and Rhonda, for being here.
Hey everyone.
Hello.
My name is Robin Smith, and I'm a member of the Retired Members Committee. This committee has been working to engage retirees of color and increase their participation in our union. To start, we interviewed a group of 16 retirees of color to determine their commonalities in their educational experience. We then met in person to discuss the challenges they face as educators of color, and even more importantly, what they believed that the solutions were. Out of this came two exciting projects we are passionate, about retired educators of color writing articles for the MTA Reporter about their experiences in the union and their district while teaching, and the mentoring program, pairing mentors of color with new educators of color that are within their first 5 years of teaching. The mentoring program launched in September, and we currently have 9 working pairs. This program was designed by a joint effort between the RMC, the New Members Committee, and the Ethnic Minority Affairs Committee. Among the goals of this program are piloting a program that has a positive impact on the retention of educators of color in Massachusetts public education, encouraging new and retired members' involvement in the MTA. We have 9 mentor-mentee pairs as of now. We currently have 4 mentors and 4 mentees that are unmatched at different geographical locations in the state. Mentors are currently needed for a 6th grade teacher and an ESP member, both in Cambridge, a Springfield guidance counselor, and a Worcester ESP. Rhonda, why did you join this program?
So I joined the program. I am a veteran teacher, but I have had so many different positions. I was a links teacher. I was a life skills teacher, and when I switched positions to my new position, right now I'm a 1st grade and 2nd grade pullout teacher, special ed. I just felt like I needed a refresher and I needed some support. And the blessing is that they allowed me to join into the program. And so I felt like this was a great I was at a great advantage because Robin and Marjorie were are my mentors. And I know them from the community, so I felt very comfortable, and I know their work ethic. So I felt very comfortable having them come into my classroom and and um and putting their stamp of approval on things. So we're asking mentors and mentees to meet once a week, either in person or that's what I was asked for. And they come into my classroom once a week in a way that just made sense to me. So they both actually come in. There's another younger mentee who's also in the building, and they come in to support. Uh, and Robin, you can let them know exactly what else you need to do and what the stipend is.
Okay. Well,
We can't hear you.
okay, here we go. We are asking mentors and mentees to meet once a week. As Rhonda said, both people fill out a monthly online report of their progress, and there is a $1,000 stipend for mentors. In your annual meeting packet, there will be a flyer that explains more about the program and who to contact for additional information. You can also go to the retired members section on the MTA website to learn more about the program. We are currently looking for more retired educators of color to write articles for the reporter and to grow our mentoring program by creating more pairs. As I mentioned earlier, we have 4 mentees not currently paired. If you are interested in participating either as a mentor or a mentee, we will drop both links in the chat to sign up. If you are interested in writing an article for the reporter, the link will also be put into the chat. On May 7th, the Retiree Speaker Series will be highlighting this program, and you will be able to hear from mentors and mentees. Check the retired section of the MTA website for details and how to sign up. Although these programs are in their infancy stage, the potential for a positive impact is significant. Thanks so much for your attention, and please consider participating.
Great. Thank you, Robin and Rhonda. And those links are in the chat. Thank you, Lisa Lemieux, our retired member staff person. So thank you so much. All right, I am going to move on, and I want to introduce our Director of Governance, the person who oversees this whole extravaganza of annual meeting, as well as so much more in the MTA, Jennifer Freeling. Welcome, Jen.
Hello, all. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen to work through some important information, our norms for this meeting that we are in now, and also some details about annual meeting as well. So just to set the table for this meeting, there are no special rules or debate during the pre-convention meeting. This is an informational meeting to get you up to speed and ready for debate at annual meeting. In order to speak at this meeting, however, you do need to be recognized by the chair. And to do that, we ask you to use the raised hand feature in Zoom. And you do that by finding the reactions button, the react button at the bottom of your Zoom window. And raise hand is one of the buttons that pops up once you hit react. If you have any trouble with that, the logistics team will help you, and you can put a question into the chat, a question about the technical stuff into the chat. If you're on a cell phone, you can use the raise hand button option in the More tab. Deb McCarthy, our vice president, will manage the speaking order, and we ask that you stay muted unless you are called on to speak. Another important and helpful thing to do is to rename yourself in Zoom, include your first, last name, and local association. That helps us all sort of get the impact of how many members we represent across the state and how, how diverse our membership is regionally. So you do that by clicking on the ellipsis on the upper right corner of your own photo and selecting rename. it also helps us find you when it's your turn to talk. And if you have any technical issues, again, you can put technical issues in the chat, but the easiest way to do it is to email events@massteacher.org. All right, now on to the exciting stuff, which is information about our 180th annual meeting of delegates. I'm hoping you all know this by now, but annual meeting is on Friday, May 2nd and Saturday, May 3rd. It starts, at noon on Friday and goes till approximately 5:30 or 6 p.m. It then resumes on Saturday at 9 a.m. until the close of business. And we are holding a march and rally after the close of business on Saturday. So we really hope that you stay with us after the close of business with annual meeting and march with us to support federal workers, unions, and push back and resist against all of the nonsense that's coming out of the current federal administration. The registration opens at 10 a.m. on Friday, May 2nd and 8 a.m. Saturday, May 3rd. Carolyn has been putting this into the chat over and over again. Everything you need to know about annual meeting will be at massteacher.org/annual meeting. We are in production mode for the delegate handbook right now. So that is being created and will be loaded up there. But many of the pieces of the delegate handbook are already on the annual meeting webpage. So we encourage you to visit that frequently. One of the most exciting reasons to join annual meeting is new business items, both to submit them and to act on them as delegates. And we have a series of deadlines related to new business for annual meeting. The first deadline is Monday, April 28th. Any new business submitted by 5 p.m. on Monday, April 28th will be able to actually have printed copies of those new business items for in-person delegates on site. That is also new business items with budgetary implications must be submitted either by that Monday or prior to the conclusion of business on Friday at annual meeting. So Friday, May 2nd. And that is so that they can be acted upon prior to action on the budget and dues that happens on Saturday. New business with budgetary implications will be considered in the order in which they're received, but before new business without budgetary implications. Also on the April 28th date is the deadline for new business with policy implications. So any new policy that would need to be in by April 28th by 5 p.m. And then new business without budgetary implications, the final deadline for that is the end of the first hour on Saturday morning, which is approximately 10 a.m., but an hour after gavel goes down. So if gavel goes down at 9:08, you have until 10:08 to submit non-budgetary NBIs. More deadlines to share. So those of you who are local presidents, you've seen multiple emails from us about how to report delegates. Delegates then, once they're reported to us, gets communication, and they have the option of either attending in person or as a remote delegate. And the final deadline for reporting for presidents is April 25th. But do note that after April 25th, if a delegate has not chosen in person or remote, they will be automatically registered as remote delegates at that point. Those of you who will be remote delegates, there's an important test your tech training that will be helpful to attend. It is on Monday, April 28th from 5:30 until 7:30. Don't worry, you don't need to be there for that whole 2 hours. You can pop in. We repeat the same information over and over again in that 2 hours. So you can pretty much stay on for about 15 minutes and capture everything that you need. But we do encourage you to join and test your tech so that you can make sure everything's working okay prior to annual meeting. You're better off using a computer. Tablets, phones are, they may work briefly, but they're not a recommended device to use. So please do use a computer or a laptop. And the preferred browser is Chrome. All right, debating and speaking at annual meeting. So there are, depending on if you are a remote or an in-person delegate, there are different ways to access the speaking queue. As an in-person delegate, you will walk up to a microphone. There will be staff that are staffing those microphones. We call them microphone monitors. They can help you access the speaking queue. You'll want to indicate if you're speaking for or against the particular item that is being debated, or yellow if you have a point of order or a question. And the presiding officer, with the assistance of our parliamentarian, will keep that speaking order. Those remote delegates will access the speaking order via the virtual platform, and all of both the in-person and the remote delegates will all go into the same queue. Okay, and voting at annual meeting. So we are working on posting 2 voting guides, one for in-person delegates, one for remote delegates. Those of you who have done this before in person in a hybrid meeting know that you'll get a BlackBerry-like device when you walk into the business session hall. Prior to that, when you go to registration, you'll get a smart card. That smart card then gets inserted into your BlackBerry device, and that is your voting mechanism for the entirety of annual meeting. You vote both on items up for action by the annual meeting of delegates, and for those of you who will be voting in elections, you will also use that device to vote in elections. Very important. Please hold on to that smart card, that voting card. That is basically your voting credential. So that's one of the most important things to hold on to. If you do end up losing your card, go to registration. We'll deactivate and replace your card, but there will be a delay in getting you a new card. Remote delegates will use the online platform for all of their voting. Again, just if you can, please attend the training on Monday, April 28th, because you'll get a chance to test that and to actually do some pretend votes. Okay. Elections at annual meeting, one of the other exciting reasons to join annual meeting. MTA elections will be on Saturday, May 3rd during the business session around 11 a.m. unless the action on the budget has not concluded by then. Elections will take place immediately after. I think Max already mentioned we have, there are 2, the Retired Members Committee has there are 2 elections. I don't have them right in front of me, but Jackie will give you some more information about that later when Jackie speaks. Just a reminder, just a reminder about the handbook and the web page. And I'd like to pass the mic, so to speak, to Erin Tracy to talk a little bit about food and concessions that we'll have at annual meeting this year.
Hi, everyone. Everything I'm going to speak about is accessible on the website, specifically in the section that is called Where to Eat. We just want to bring it to your attention just so you know that there are some good food options that are very nearby to you when you're in the business session. On the first level in meeting rooms 3 and 4, there will be a concessions area that is open 8 o'clock until 3 on Friday and 7:30 to 3 on Saturday. Unfortunately, we have to kind of hide it away in that meeting room because we really do utilize that whole hallway in front of the business session room registration area for all of our great exhibits. So they will be in there, and you will definitely want to find that location because a little sneak preview, one of the MTA benefits vendors will be giving away free coupons for free beverage from within that concessions area. And then on Saturday only, because you have a 30-minute lunch break within the agenda, there will be an option for you to get a barbecue lunch that will be served on the second level of the convention center by a local barbecue place called Bears that's apparently very popular. We do need you to pre-purchase those tickets. And again, you can pre-purchase those tickets through that website. The link is there. It'll take you to a place with the menu and all the information. Unfortunately, that's been very popular. I do just want to highlight, even though it's not food related, that thank goodness the garage next to the convention center has just opened. So that will actually be open this year and will be a much better parking option for many people who've driven right in before. That's all. I'll turn it back to Jennifer.
Jennifer. Thank you, Erin. And I want to introduce Jackie Gorey, the chair of our Bylaws and Rules Committee, to talk briefly about our special rules. Jackie, I have a slide.
Oh, great.
I'm going to keep up for you while you
Great.
talk.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Erin, and hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. Well, you know that we have recommended special rules from the Bylaws and Rules Committee, and we've been using these special rules. We know them pretty well because we've been using these special rules since we've been successfully using them since the pandemic and when we had no choice other than to be not together. So we have no substantive changes to these special rules this year because they've always worked in the past. There was no need to change anything except for 8 little incidental changes. And those 8 changes are date changes within the special rules. And so they have been made to make these special rules current just by changing, April of 2024 to May of 2025 and those kinds of date changes. So there are 8 of those within the documents. The Bylaws and Rules Committee recommended adoption of these special rules unanimously by a vote of 8-0, and the MTA Board of Directors recommends adoption of these changes at their February board meeting. And so those will be the rules that we'll be using. I know you're all familiar with it, and I know you won't break one of them. So thank you. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jackie. Back to you, Max.
All right. Thank you so much, Jen and Jackie. Jackie, are you a first new delegate? I don't think so.
I think
Jackie,
180 years. I think I'm a 180-year delegate.
Thank you. Thank you both for all that setup of all those important information. So now we will turn to our Vice President, Deb McCarthy, who will present the proposed budget and dues for 2025 to 2026. And I just want to explain, especially for our first-time delegates, this is a presentation. You can come back on Tuesday at our second one and hear the same one. And I think Deb will also do it at annual meeting. And the idea is that you will hear the presentation of the budget and can ask questions. This is not where we do the debate. There will be a debate on the floor of annual meeting on Saturday morning. But right now is a chance for you to review the budget and ask questions to Deb McCarthy, Vice President, who has overseen the budget process going all the way back to September when we started with setting up kind of the budget principles or the main goals for the budget all the way back in September. And we go all the way through the year until annual meeting acts in early May. So Deb McCarthy, I'll turn it to you.
Well, thank you, Max. A pleasure to be here. I just want to acknowledge that I'm out here in Las Vegas for the LGBTQ plus conference that the NEA is putting on. And so I'm working with a couple of different modalities here, so I ask for your patience. We're going to begin with the slideshow. And Allison, I believe, is the person who is going to pull it up. And then once it's pulled up, we'll walk through it. Yes. Can folks see it? I can't. Okay, here we go.
Sorry, it took
Perfect.
a second.
Oh, no, that's okay. Trust me. All right. So welcome. And let's just take a second. Max introduced a little bit of the process. I think it's really important to note that in October, the Board of Directors votes on the budget priorities for the upcoming year. Myself, Mike Fado, Beth Evers, we meet with all of the managers from each of the divisions over about a 5-6 week period to discuss their budgets. We then take that information and we meet with the ABC, the Advisory Budget Committee. Usually there are 3 meetings. This year, the ABC was able to produce a budget in 2 meetings. We had a meeting on January 30th and February 3rd. We then bring the proposed budget to the Executive Committee, who voted on it and then brought it to the Board of Directors. And now we're presenting at the 2 annual meeting, convention meetings, but at the annual meeting of delegates is when the opportunity to debate the budget happens. Ding. Yes, okay. I think it's really important. I'd like to acknowledge those members who served on the ABC and thank them for their countless hours and dedication getting us to this point in the process. Cynthia Roy, Barry Davis, Sue Doherty, Sarah McLaughlin, Joanna Gonzalez, Nellie Taylor, Chris Maroney, Kelsey Romano. Special thanks to Mike Fado, Max Page, Beth Evers, Ann McGuire, Nancy Shukan, and Kathy Conway. Ding. That's so funny. Next. Okay. Ding. All right. For those of you who are new, you may not know it. Go back, please. That we have a strategic blueprint that drives all of the decisions. There are 5 major components to our blueprint. 1, to modernize membership data systems. 2, to systemize methods to provide resources. 3, to organize and mobilize through contract campaigns. 4, to broaden the structure of the LPPA. And 5, to facilitate dialogue about racial justice and inclusion for staff. And as we create the budget, we use a strategic blueprint to drive the document that we bring before you. Next, please. And so I have 2 slides that are going to talk about some of the highlights in the budget that align to the strategic blueprint. We met the staffing needs of increased member engagement for the local contract campaigns. We significantly increased funding for state and local organizing line items. We increased funding for large local organizing. We provided additional funds to retain and recruit members. This budget increased funding for leadership and organizational development to enhance programs like the Men of Education Gathering, implementing the MTA's policy and practice journal, train the trainer forums that are centered on economic, social, gender, disability, and racial justice. Next. This budget increases monies for summer conference and the various leadership training and professional development workshops. It increased funds for EMAC and ESP conferences. It increases monies for local and state election line items to support the numerous 2.5 override campaigns taking place throughout the Commonwealth. It increases the line item for AFL-CIO membership dues to support the partnerships and to increase the solidarity strength around the local campaign elections that we are engaged in. It increases the wage estimate for summer member organizing program. It provides monies for overtime expenses to assist with processing membership in the fall. And it substantially increases grant programs for the all-in grants, the new member welcome grants, the bargaining crisis and higher ed negotiations, while increasing monies for special organizing projects such as Alana initiatives and the Living Wage campaign. Next. All right, membership highlights. So we base the budget based upon what's called the FTEs, our full-time equivalents. This slide shows you the full-time equivalents for 2021, 2022. And this year, we have based it on the same number that was used for the last budget, which is 92,243 full-time equivalent members. Next. The operating budget being recommended for 2025, 2026 is $58,692,057. This budget is based on 92,243 FTEs. It will have a baseline dues of $550, a clerical staff and custodians dues of $330, and for para, educators, food service personnel, and other education support personnel, it'll be $165. Next, please. This proposed dues increase will add needed staff in our legal department, our division of training and professional learning, our communications, and our accountant divisions. It'll invest in organizing support for local organizing, especially for the work around local contract campaigns. And it will also provide additional support and resources for our statewide campaigns, specifically a Safe Schools campaign, a Higher Ed for All campaign, to help with protecting our Question 2 win, for our Living Wage campaign, our PFML campaign, retirement security, and our Fair School Finance campaign. Next. Line 1, the dues. This proposal includes a $14 full-time annual dues increase, an $8.25 increase for secretaries, clerks, and custodians, and a $4 annual dues increase for paraprofessionals, food service personnel, and other ESPs. Over the last 30 years, MTA has seen as much as an 8% dues increase in 1 year. Overall, the average dues increase has been 2.6%. It is important to note that at the upcoming annual meeting, there is going to be a bylaw proposal that will present a dues stabilizer of 2.5% going forward. This budget is built on the assumption of no increase to our overall MTA membership. We definitely did not see an increase in growth due to some of the budget cuts that happened, and that we thought it was best to just do a level FTE budget for 2025, 2026. Next. Other highlights, line 2, the UNICEF grant. This is an annual subsidy from NEA, which offsets some of the costs of our field staff and other staff with direct member contact, excuse me. The projected increase is 500,000 due to the increase in our field staff over the last 2 years. The expenses for lines 1 through 12, salary and benefits. These increases are largely driven by the increase in field staff. And in the current year, these increases were budgeted under the contingency pending the actual hiring of the staff. The proposed budget incorporates these staff into the regular salary and the benefit lines. And additionally, the 3 staff union contracts were provided a COLA averaging 3%. Next. Line 6, the pensions. This decrease in this line is because the plan has been consistently overfunded. The proposed budget would target maintaining the plan at 100%, but there is no need to overfund the plan at this point. Line 19, rent. The decrease in this line is largely due to a consolidation of some of the Quincy headquarters space and a negotiated reduction in rent for the remaining space. The savings represents only about 6 months of the FY26 budget, since the Quincy lease is in effect through the FY fiscal year of 26. So there is a potential for significant additional savings in future years. Line 26 in the budget, state and local organizing. There is a $325,000 increase based on increased utilization of the all-in grants, increasing number of escalating contract campaigns, and significant resources dedicated to other campaigns such as our Safe Schools campaign. You will find further information for each line item in the budget book under the narrative section of tab 4. Next. All right. And now the second part of the budget, I'm just not sure at this point, were we taking questions first with the budget before we move on to the PR&O?
Deb, I think
That's how
we
we've
should
done
go
it before.
I think we go through the whole thing and then return to questions on each.
Okay,
But
fine. Sure. All right, so then the second part of the budget is the PR&O budget. Just wanted to highlight some of the incredible programs that happen with the resources in this budget. Monies and grants have been provided to Mass Budget, the UMass Labor Scholarships, the MTA History Project, monies for grants to locals, the continuation of monies to high school quiz show. We use this budget for ballot campaigns. These pictures are new. We were able to do something for the first time this year, an Inspire Youth Summit, where over 300 high school students came. You'll see a picture of NEA President Becky Pringle. She joined us. We also were able to use monies to enhance, works of nonprofits like Raising Multicultural Kids. Next. The 2025-2026 PR&O budget, the recommendation, well, first, the budget is $1,844,860. Again, this is based upon the full-time equivalent active membership of 92,243 members. We are recommending that it stay the baseline dues of 20 as it was last year. For clerical staff and custodians for $12, and for the paraeducators, food service personnel, and other education support professionals would be $6. Next. And so the proposed membership dues summary. You will see the 3 different categories, the light blue on the top line for operating dues. And then it adds the PR&O dues. And then the orange gives you the total, which would be $570 baseline dues, $342 for clerical staff and custodians, and $171 for para educators, food servers, personnel, and other ESPs. I'm not sure if there's another slide, but I'll say next. And this is where we're at the questions. All right. Oh, that was cute. Wasn't mine, but that was cute. All right.
So I think we're now
Okay.
ready for questions. I think Jen, you were going to keep, I think, the stack. If people want to ask questions, they should use their raise hand feature so we can recognize you.
That's right. So just remind people,
And
if you have any questions, you can hit the react button and use the raise hand feature, and we'll take your questions in the order in which your hands are raised. Well, this is shocking. Okay, so there are no questions? All right. Well done, everyone.
Oh, I like what Rick's doing. I like that. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deb, very much. And there, of course, if you want to come back on the 15th for the second Precon and have after you've processed all the budget, you certainly can and ask questions then. And of course, there will, during the debate of the budget at annual meeting, there will also, of course, be time for asking questions as well. Okay, we are then moving along. And to I want to bring back Jackie Gorey to talk about the MTA standing rules and bylaws for 2025.
Great. Thanks, Max, and hi again to everyone. The Bylaws and Rules Committee met via Zoom on January 31st. Members of the committee are Caroline Kasha, Mary Ann Dufemia, Sue Doherty, Jim Kaplan, Ramsey Curdy, Daniel Mulcair, Jacqueline Perkins, and myself. We met to discuss, hold hearings, and vote on proposed amendments to the special rules for annual meeting and the bylaws and the standing rules, which were submitted to the committee by the second Friday in January, which was January 10th. Today, I will present those proposals along with the impact statement, the committee's votes, and the board of directors' votes for each proposal. And you can find these items in your pre-convention material. We already went through the special rules, so that's a good thing. We did not receive any amendments or proposals for a change to the standing rules. We did, however, receive one bylaw amendment, and that bylaw amendment is in Article 4, Section 1C Budget, Section 2A1 Dues. And the changes would be as follows. In Article 4, Section 1 Budget C, the 7 words after the word "the" in the first paragraph will be removed, and the second paragraph will also be removed, leaving us with this. The budget of the association shall be recommended to the annual meeting of delegates by the board of directors. The budget must be approved by a majority of delegates voting at the annual meeting. The next change occurs in Section 2 Dues, A, active members, full-time dues. The first paragraph will remain as it always was, and 2 additional paragraphs have been added. They are: the full-time dues shall increase each year by 2.5% and will be reflected in the budget that delegates vote on at the annual meeting. The delegates may, by a majority vote, approve a larger increase. The delegates may, by a 2/3 vote, approve a lesser increase. The annual dues for active members will be rounded up to the next higher dollar amount. And the impact statement is, this amendment would establish a baseline annual dues increase of 2.5% for active full-time members, with a majority vote of the delegates required to adopt a higher increase, and with a 2/3 majority vote of the delegates required to adopt a lesser increase. The Bylaws and Rules Committee recommends adoption 8-0, and the Board of Directors recommended adoption 40-15. And that's the only proposal that we had. So,
Thank you, Jackie. And I think
thank you.
there are questions. This would be the moment. I think Deb will be back to keeping the speaking order if there are questions. We'll just wait a minute. Okay. Again, I will ask that if you want to pose questions at the next meeting of the Precon and on the 15th, feel free to do that. And of course, on the floor of annual meeting.
Great. Thank you. Thanks. And I'd like to thank, if I could take a minute, to thank
course.
Jen Freeling and John Connolly for their expertise as our committee staff consultant. And again, I want to thank Max and Deb, and to all of you who are here attending tonight, taking your time. Enjoy the rest of the evening till 7:30, and I'll see you at the next webinar and then an annual meeting in Springfield. So thanks again, everyone.
Thank you,
You,
Jackie.
Jackie. Yeah.
Nice
Thank you.
segue.
Have a great night, everyone.
And thank you, Jackie, for the segue to a reminder. Maybe we put it back in the chat again once more. For those who have not signed up, please sign up for the 7:30 meeting, all member meeting about our fight back and fight forward ahead. All right, the next part of this meeting is I want to introduce Connor Burgoyne from the Resolutions Committee to present the proposed amendments to the MTA resolutions.
Thank you, Mac. Hello, everyone. I'm speaking on behalf of our chairperson, Deb Giswaldo, who could not be here tonight. So for those who don't know, the MTA resolutions are the union's statements of principle on issues that relate to members, public education, the welfare of students, and human and civil rights. Existing resolutions are available on massteacher.org/resolutions. The Resolutions Committee presents to you the following two proposed amendments to the MTA resolutions. Please note that each of these proposals amends are to an existing MTA resolution. This year, the Resolutions Committee met once in February and considered two amendments to existing resolutions. The Board of Directors on March 29th agreed to recommend the two resolutions as amended to the annual meeting, and here are the proposed changes. Resolution B20 on physical education. The proposed additions to this resolution would add more specifics to a resolution that advocates for a comprehensive program of physical education for students in pre-kindergarten through grade 12. It would also address health education. It would urge families and individuals to renew their commitment to making daily quality health and physical education a part of their lives and in every school curriculum. Specify that physical education programs should require 224 minutes per week for middle and high school students and 150 minutes per week for elementary students. That the MTA believes a comprehensive skill-based health education program is necessary in all grades for lifelong health. That the required annual time for pre-K to 2 for health education should include 40 hours, and for students in grades 3 to 12, 80 hours of instruction. Coursework for health and physical education shall be regulated under the SHAPE National Physical Education Standards and the National Health Education Standards 3D edition. And that health and physical education shall only be taught by licensed health and physical education teachers. Our second one is the proposed amendment to Resolution F15 retirement. The second amendment concerns retirement. It would amend the existing Resolution F15, which concerns the MTA support for the MTRS system for educators, which provides retirement security for retirees through a defined benefit pension program. It would also add the following: that the MTA recognizes the importance of securing retirement contributions from public higher education employers for part-time faculty who teach at least 2 courses per semester across public institutions of higher education, that such benefits must be equal to those of other employees of the Commonwealth who work 20 hours or more per week. All right, and that is it. Not sure if there are any questions at all.
Connor, are there questions for Connor about these resolutions? And this is just as a reminder to new delegates, resolutions are kind of our statement of values that then guide the work we do, developing legislation, campaigns we lead. So that's the work of the resolutions committee. Okay. Thank you, Connor, very much.
Thank you.
All right, friends, we are moving right along, and now we are actually on the opportunity to hear from candidates for MTA offices. So, of course, elections are a key part of annual meeting, and this is now a chance to hear from some of those candidates in contested elections. So the elections will take place on Saturday at 11 a.m. after the budget agenda items. If the budget action goes beyond 11 a.m., of course, the elections will begin immediately after. This year, we only have 2 elections at the meeting itself this year, and for the MTA Board of Directors representing District 16G, the candidates are Christy Nickerson of Woburn and Diana Marcus of Burlington, and neither of those candidates are delivering speeches tonight. The other election taking place is for MTA Board of Directors representing the retired membership. The 2 seats are to be elected, and there are 4 candidates: Bonnie Page, Joe Heresy, Jerry Ruane, and Bob Miller. All other candidates this year have been elected by waiver. You can refer to that certified candidate list in your printed packet or online. So today's candidate speeches are a maximum of 3 minutes each and will be timed by Jackie Gorey, Chair of the Bylaws and Rules Committee. And when 20 seconds remain, Jackie will give a verbal warning. And to candidates, be sure to unmute yourselves, of course, when introduced. And so what I will do now is I will introduce each candidate, and we will begin. And there was a lottery, I think, for who would go in what order. So that's why the order we have here. Okay, again, these are candidates vying for the 2 board seats representing retired members. And first up is Bonnie Page.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Bonnie Page, and I'm running for one of the 2 seats for MTA Retired District Director, and I'm asking for your support. I am a retired Malden kindergarten teacher where I taught for 30 years, finishing my time there as local president. I have also previously served as a member of the MTA board representing 21G and was an NEA director. I am running for this position because I want to continue to serve MTA retirees. Being on the MTA board will enable me to connect with our almost 10,000 retirees and keep them informed. We come from a wide breadth of experiences, and we need to be ready to fight for the schools our students and educators deserve. It is vital that we make sure our pension is safe, especially in these turbulent times. The COLA hasn't increased much in years, and we are left to struggle with the pitiful increases that don't keep up with the reality of the American economy. As an MTA director, I would work with our government relations and grassroots divisions and fight to ensure a dignified retirement for all. The best news lately is that the GPO WEP has been repealed. Now retirees will receive their full benefits from Social Security. Thanks to the tireless work of MTA and NEA members, retired and active, it finally happened. Retiree member involvement took a hit during the COVID pandemic. Many MTA retirees decided not to join MTA again. Our numbers went down significantly, and we ask why. Many retirees I have spoken with told me that they are, they are not contacted or informed about many of the goings on in the state and the country, that the direction of the retiree agenda does not speak to them. It's time for the retired membership to be even more powerful than they were before the pandemic. Just think of what we could accomplish when we work together. Collectively, we have the power to increase the COLA, cap out-of-pocket expenses for non-Medicare eligible retirees, fight for more funding for public schools, pre-K through 16, and increase, maintain, and engage MTA retired membership. Please vote for me, Bonnie Page, on May 3rd to represent the retirees of Massachusetts. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. All right, next up is Joe Heresy. Joe, please unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joe Heresy, and I'm asking for your vote as a retired representative on the MTA Board of Directors. As a board member since 2022, I have actively supported MTA policies that build grassroots power, supporting strikes and contract struggles as a wisdom warrior, organizing turnouts for pickets and meetings, and making sure we have organizers in the field by funding them at the board level. While I support retired member issues, such as the windfall elimination provision bill passed in January, I recognize the role of our union as supporting the diverse working class as a whole. We can never forget that we became educators to serve our students whose diverse families come from all over the world and are struggling in these challenging times. I have experience as a Marshfield building rep and e-board member. I have canvassed for paid family medical leave, $15 minimum wage, and the Fair Share Amendment, the Student Opportunity Act, and more. I worked 2 years as a summer member organizer before joining the board. Upon retiring in 2019, I worked with parents advocating for safe learning conditions during COVID and the right to opt out of MCAS testing with my work through the Massachusetts Education Justice Alliance. I'm a proud member organizer of Randolph Tenants United, helping to prevent evictions and win better living conditions for the diverse working class in the South Shore. I will continue to fight for the working class, bringing my experience organizing in the field to our work at the board. Our collective struggle for liberation is under attack, but we can unite around the fundamental goals of the MTA, strengthening public education and improving living conditions for all, especially the most oppressed. A society of the people, by the people, and for the people. Solidarity.
Thank you, Joe. And our final candidate, I should say Jerry Ruing, was not able to be here tonight. The final candidate speaking tonight is Bob Miller. So Bob, please unmute yourself and you're ready to go.
All right. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Bob Miller. 3 years ago, I retired from being a middle school science teacher in Brookline, where I had been the union vice president for 10 years and a longtime member of the bargaining team. One of the benefits of being retired for me has been the opportunity to devote time to the causes that I'm dedicated to, chief among them being the Massachusetts public education system. Since retiring, I have volunteered as a retired representative to the Brookline Educators Union Reps Council. I've been elected to the MTA Candidate Recommendation Committee as a representative of the 4th Congressional District, actively participated in the repeal of the WEP and GPO with the Mass Retirees Association, and been an active member of the retired group working on the MCAS ballot question. As your representative to MTA board, I will prioritize issues important to retirees. Among the most important are the COLA increases and healthcare costs. As many of you know, our COLA is capped at 3% a year. As troublesome as this can be during periods of high inflation, the worst part is that this adjustment only applies to the first $13,000 of your pension, a number that has not been raised in more than 10 years. What this means is someone earning a pension of $50,000 cannot get a cost of living adjustment of more than $390, in effect, capping their adjustment to significantly less than 1%. This is indefensible, and I pledge to fight to pass House Bill 2812 and Senate Bill 1817 to begin addressing this outrageous mistreatment of our retirees. In addition, these bills would address capping health insurance costs for our retirees, some of whom that began work prior to 1986 are not eligible for Medicare. I'm also committed to protecting the union educators that are still working for our public school students. I've been to many actions by unions around the state. It is clear that public education is under the greatest attack from our federal government in my lifetime. The population of Massachusetts has shown repeatedly that they stand with MTA. Now more than ever, We need to speak out at the State House, at the ballot boxes, and in our communities for the great public schools of Massachusetts. I would like to be this voice for you, our retirees. I can't wait to
20
represent
seconds.
our retirees on the board of directors. I ask for your vote for one of the 2 retired member seats on May 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you to all the candidates. And this concludes our candidate speeches tonight. A quick reminder that when we have the elections on Saturday, May 3rd, during annual meeting, the only delegates voting in elections will be those from District 16G, of course, for that election, and the retired delegates for that election. I just want to note, I think it's in the chat now, you can review recorded speeches of candidates for office at that link, which is of course just a page off of the massteacher.org/annual meeting. So we look forward to seeing you all at annual meeting in a few weeks. I want to just say, reminder that we have another pre-convention meeting on Tuesday, April 15th. You're all welcome to come to that one as well. I think it is also at 4:30. The info, as I said, is at massteacher.org/annual meeting. Please, again, maybe we'll put it one more time in there. Please join us at 7:30 because we're done so early. You can grab a bite to eat. Come back for the all-member meeting as we plan how we build the fight back and the fight forward against what's happening towards public education and really build towards May Day and our annual meeting. And of course, please read the weekly email, the MTA Union News, where we try to gather all the most important information of things that are happening.